Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're plunging into the world of online casinos, specifically how you might, tilt the odds a little more your way.
Right, because most people just think it's pure luck, don't they?
Exactly. It's just blind chance. But while chance is definitely part of it.
Smart play can make a real difference, a noticeable one.
Yeah, it seems so. We've been digging into this really detailed guide from Casino Rankalite ABC, and well, our mission today is to pull out those practical strategies, things that can help you play smarter and hopefully see better outcomes.
And let's be clear, this isn't about some secret always win formula
No.
that doesn't exist.
No, absolutely not.
But by understanding how things work, the sort of lay of the land,
Yeah.
and applying some key principles, you can definitely make more informed choices. And importantly, avoid some common pitfalls.
For sure. And this guide, it really covers everything. I mean, from the absolute basics, like picking a trustworthy casino,
It's just fundamental.
all the way through to some, well, surprisingly subtle ideas about maybe when is a better time to play. So if you've ever suspected there might be more to online casinos than just hitting spin and hoping.
You're probably right.
Yeah, you're in the right place. Okay, let's get right into it. Starting with something that sounds obvious but is just critical, where you actually choose to play.
You nailed it.
Hmm.
Choosing a trustworthy online casino, that's the absolute foundation. You wouldn't build a house on shaky ground, right?
Right. Same principle.
It's the bedrock for a positive and hopefully, profitable experience.
And this foundation, according to the research, it really starts with licenses. We're talking things like the Multi-Gaming Authority, UK Gambling Commission,
Right.
those kinds of seals of approval.
Exactly. Those licenses are crucial. They tell you the casino operates under strict rules, regulations. It means player protection, fair practices, basically accountability.
Okay, so it's a quality mark. Makes sense. Now, the guide also flags payout speeds, suggests looking for places that process withdrawals, ideally, within 24 to 48 hours. Why is getting your winnings quickly such a big deal?
Well, think about it. Fast payouts generally indicate a casino is financially healthy and runs efficiently. They're not, sitting on your money unnecessarily.
Okay.
It also just shows good customer service. Consistently slow payouts. That can sometimes be a bit of a red flag.
Interesting. Okay. Something else I hadn't really considered much. Monthly payout limits. The guide says be wary of limits under, say, $10,000 for regular play. Why should we care about that? Does it depend on the type of player you are?
It definitely can. Look, for a casual player, a $10 K limit might sound massive.
Yeah, seems huge.
But imagine you hit a really big win, maybe a jackpot.
Mm.
A low limit could mean waiting months, even years to get all your money.
Yeah, right. I see.
And even for more regular players, if you have a few decent wins in a month, those limits can really restrict access to your own funds. It's about practicality.
That's a really good point. Getting your hands on your winnings reasonably quickly. Okay. And the guide strongly points towards Casino Rank Elite ABC for unbiased reviews and security info. Seems like a good starting point.
Yeah. Definitely a smart first step. Do your homework on the casino itself.
All right, so you found a reputable place. What's next for playing smarter? Bonuses. Everyone sees those advertised, but there's usually more to them, isn't there?
Oh, absolutely. Bonuses can be great. They give your bankroll a boost, more playtime,
Right.
but they nearly always come with strings attached, terms and conditions.
Yeah.
And understanding those terms is, well, everything.
The guide really hammers on wagering requirements. Says aim for below 35 times the bonus. What exactly is that, and why is 35x a kind of benchmark?
Okay, so wagering requirements or playthrough dictate how many times you need to bet the bonus amount and sometimes your deposit too before you can withdraw winnings earned from that bonus.
Right.
So a $100 bonus with 35x wagering means you need to place $3,500 in total bets before you can cash out anything won using the bonus.
Wow, okay. That's quite a bit.
It is. And lower requirements, like under 35x, give you a much better, more realistic chance of actually meeting them and withdrawing winnings. Much higher. And it gets really tough. It's not really free money until you clear that hurdle.
Got it. So, unlockable funds, basically. What about free spins? The guide mentions those too. Anything specific to watch for there?
Yeah, free spins are popular, especially for slots fans. The key thing is which games they're for.
Ah,
Ideally, you want them for slots with a high return to player, or RTP. We'll get more into RTP soon, but basically it gives you a better theoretical shot at winning something from those free goes.
makes sense. And then there's cash back. The guide seems pretty positive about cashback, especially with no wagering requirements. They even mentioned someone turning $50 cashback into $300 on roulette. What's the appeal there?
Cashback is great because it's a form of damage control almost. you get a percentage of your losses back as playable money.
Like a rebate.
Exactly. And when there are no wagering requirements attached, that money is basically yours. Withdraw it, play with it, whatever. No hoops to jump through. That anecdote shows it perfectly. It's like a real second chance with cash you can actually use.
So the big takeaway for bonuses, always read the T&Cs. Every single time. No exceptions.
100%. And the guide notes info on top 2025 bonuses is already out there, so it pays to stay updated. It's always changing.
Okay. Picked a casino, navigated the bonuses. Now, the games themselves, RTP and volatility, these sound a bit technical, but the guide stresses they're really important for understanding your chances.
They are absolutely fundamental. They tell you about the long-term payout potential and the kind of ride you can expect from a game.
So, return to player.
Yeah.
RTP, what is that exactly?
RTP is the theoretical percentage of all wagered money that a specific game will pay back to players over the long run, like millions of spins. So a 96% RTP means, theoretically, for every $100 wagered collectively on that game, $96 get paid back out as winnings over time.
Okay, a long-term average. The guide recommends aiming for slots above 96% RTP. They even give Netton's Bloodsuckers as an example, with a massive 98% RTP. That 2% difference, does it really matter?
It might seem small, but yes, it does matter over time. While it doesn't predict your specific session outcome.
Right, it's not a guarantee for me today.
No. But consistently picking games with higher RTPs gives you a slightly better statistical position. That 2% difference between 96% and 98%, compounded over thousands of spins, can definitely add up. It's a small edge, but it's an edge.
Okay, got it. Now, volatility, low versus high. How does that actually feel when you're playing? What's the difference for the player?
Good question. Low volatility games tend to pay out more often, but the wins are usually smaller. Your bankroll tends to stay steadier, fewer big swings.
Okay, more frequent little wins.
Exactly. Good if you like consistent action. High volatility games are the opposite. Fewer wins, often long dry spells, but when they do hit, the payouts can be much, much larger.
Right, chasing the big one.
Pretty much. These appeal more to players looking for those jackpot-size wins and who have the bankroll and patience to ride out the leaner periods. It's really about risk versus reward frequency.
So it boils down to your personal preference, really. What kind of experience are you looking for? Steady play or jackpot hunting?
Precisely. And the guide is right to stress this. Ignoring these stats, just picking games at random, that has a real financial cost. You're just relying purely on luck, not making informed choices aligned with your goals.
Okay, so we've chosen wisely, understood the bonuses, picked games with good stats. How do we make sure our money lasts? Bankroll management seems key here.
Absolutely critical. This is where discipline really comes in. It's about setting limits and, crucially, sticking to them. Ensures gambling stays fun, not stressful.
The guide mentions the 1% rule. How does that work practically?
It's a simple but effective guideline. The idea is you never bet more than 1% of your total gambling bankroll on a single bet, spin, or hand.
So the example they gave, $500 bankroll means a max bet of $5.
Exactly. This protects your capital. Even if you hit a bad run, you won't wipe out your whole bankroll quickly. It allows you to withstand losses and play longer, giving you more chances to eventually win.
Makes sense. It's about sustainability. The guide also highlights casino tools like deposit limits. How can you use those effectively?
Those are excellent tools for self-control. You can set daily, weekly, or monthly limits on how much you can deposit. Once you hit that limit, you can't deposit more until the period resets.
So it stops you chasing losses or spending more than planned?
Precisely. It enforces your predetermined budget. Highly recommend using them if you feel you might be tempted to overspend.
And it's encouraging that the guide notes even small budgets can grow with discipline. It's not just for high rollers.
Not at all. Consistency is key.
Yeah.
Okay, so beyond managing the money, can we actually apply strategies within the games to improve odds?
That's the big question, isn't it?
Yes, definitely. While luck is always there, many games have strategic elements that can reduce the house edge, giving you a better shot.
Okay, like blackjack. The guide gives a specific example. Hit on 16 if the dealer shows a 10, but stand on 17. And using basic strategy like this can apparently cut the house edge down to like 0.5%. That sounds huge.
It is huge. Basic strategy in blackjack is mathematically derived. It tells you the optimal play hit, stand, double down, split for every single hand combination against the dealer's up card.
So no guesswork.
No guesswork. By following it perfectly, you minimize the casino's built-in advantage. That 0.5% edge makes blackjack, when played correctly, one of the best bets in the casino for the player. It's all about making the statistically best move every time.
Okay, that's clear for blackjack. What about slots? Feels more random. The guide mentions targeting progressive jackpots near their trigger point and checking forums like Casino Meister. How does that work? Is it reliable?
Progressives. These are the jackpots that grow over time across a network. Some players believe you can spot when a jackpot is due based on its current size compared to its average payout size historically.
So looking for patterns.
Kind of. Forums like Casino Meister are places where players discuss these things, share info on jackpot sizes. But, and this is crucial,
It's still random.
it's still fundamentally random. There's no guarantee when it will hit. Tracking might give you a feeling it's getting closer, but it's not a sure thing by any means.
Right. Okay. And roulette. The guide points to outside bets, red-black, odd even, near 50-50 odds. Is sticking to those smarter than betting on single numbers?
Generally, yes. If your goal is more consistent, smaller wins, and longer playtime. The odds of hitting red or black are much, much higher than hitting a specific number like 17.
But the payout is smaller.
Exactly. Single numbers pay way more, but you'll hit them far less often. Outside bets offer lower payouts, usually 1.1, but win almost half the time. Slightly less because of the zero or double zero. It's about choosing bets that match your risk tolerance and goals. Understanding the probabilities is key.
So it really pays to learn the nuances of each game you play. Don't just rely on luck. Now, shifting slightly, loyalty programs. These seem like a straightforward win if you play regularly.
Absolutely a no-brainer. If you're playing anyway, why not get rewarded for it? Loyalty programs give you points, perks, cashback. It's like supermarket rewards or airline miles. Free value for your existing activity.
The guide highlights uncapped cashback, giving a 5% example. Getting 5% back on losses with no limit sounds pretty good.
It can be really significant, especially over time. Uncapped means there's no ceiling on how much you get back. That 5% can really help cushion losses and effectively stretches your bankroll further. It's a valuable perk.
And the advice is simple. Join early, track your points. Oh, and watch out for points expiring, maybe monthly. Good practical tip.
Yeah, definitely check the terms on point expiry. You don't want to lose out on earned rewards.
Okay, plain and smart, using loyalty perks. Now this next one's interesting. Timing your play. Is there actually a best time to play online? Seems counterintuitive.
It's definitely one of the more subtle and perhaps debated strategies. It's not a magic switch, but there's some logic, some potential theories behind why timing might have a small impact.
The guide mentions a 2023 study suggesting midweek, like Tuesday or Thursday, might yield slightly better returns, up to 2%. Why would that be?
One common theory relates to player volume. Weekends are peak time, tons of players online. This might mean jackpots get hit more often, but perhaps payouts are spread thinner amongst more winners.
Okay.
Midweek, with potentially fewer players, maybe there's slightly less competition for certain pots or promotions, potentially leading to slightly better average returns for those playing, but it's complex based on averages.
So very speculative.
Very. It's a slight statistical trend observed in one study, not a hard and fast rule you can rely on for every session. Individual luck still dominates.
And the other idea, early mornings might mean less competition for networked jackpots. Fewer people online vying for that same big prize pool.
That one makes logical sense, yeah. If fewer players are actively spinning on a specific progressive jackpot network at, say, 5 a.m., your individual spin has, theoretically, slightly less competition at that exact moment. Again, a very minor factor, but the logic holds.
So timing isn't a game changer, but maybe a tiny nudge in certain situations.
Possibly. A subtle optimization at best. Now let's talk about what not to do. Big mistakes. The guide flags some common pitfalls. What should we absolutely avoid?
Yeah, what are the traps?
Okay, one big one. Side bets. Especially in blackjack. You often see side bets offered, but many have a much higher house edge than the main game. That's 6.5 payout for a blackjack instead of the standard 3.2. Avoid it. It significantly worsens your odds.
Right, stick to the main game with better odds. The guide also warns about multi-spin slots. Says they can drain your funds fast. Why is that?
Multi-spin slots let you play, say, 5 or 10 sets of reels at once from a single spin command. It feels like more action, more chances.
But you're betting more.
Exactly. Your total stake per spin is much higher. So while you might see more small wins scattered across the reels, your overall bankroll can disappear incredibly quickly during a losing streak. The volatility gets amplified.
Okay, good heads up there. And the big one, chasing losses. The guide is really strong on this. Set a loss limit, maybe 20% of your session money, and walk away. Why is this so vital?
Because chasing losses is purely emotional. You lose, you get frustrated, you increase your bets trying to win it back quickly.
We've all felt that temptation.
Absolutely. But it almost always leads to bigger losses. It's a downward spiral. Setting a hard stop loss before you start playing and having the discipline to stick to it is probably the single most important piece of responsible gambling advice. Protects your finances and your sanity.
Discipline is key then. Okay. Now, a really practical tip from the guide. Using demo modes. Playing for free first. How useful is that really?
Incredibly useful. Demo mode, or free play, uses virtual credits, not real money. It's a totally risk-free way to try out games.
So you can learn the rules.
Learn the rules, see how the features work, get a feel for the payout frequency, that volatility we talked about, test betting strategies, all without spending a penny.
That sounds like a brilliant way to check out a game's RTP and volatility before committing real cash. Build some confidence, too.
Exactly. You go into real money play feeling much more prepared and understanding the game dynamics.
Yeah.
Highly recommended before playing any new game.
Smart. Okay, so once we are playing for real, the guide says track your performance, keep records. Why bother with that? Seems like work.
It is a little effort, yeah.
Yeah.
But the insights can be invaluable. Logging your sessions, which games, bet sizes, wins, losses, maybe even time of day, helps you spot patterns in your own play.
Like what?
Like, are you consistently doing well on certain types of slots? Are you losing more during late-night sessions? Does a particular betting strategy seem to work better for you on roulette? Data doesn't lie.
The guide mentions using spreadsheets or apps like BetBuddy, and that anecdote about the poker player realizing they played better late at night and adjusting. That makes sense. It's about data-driven decisions for yourself.
Precisely. Instead of just relying on gut feelings or vague memories, you have actual data on your own performance. You can then make informed adjustments to your strategy, focusing on what works for you.
Right. Tailor it to your own results. Okay, underpinning all of this strategy talk is the crucial idea of playing responsibly. The guide brings this up again and again. Why is it so fundamental?
Because at the end of the day, gambling should be entertainment, a fun pastime. It should never cause financial stress or negatively impact your life. Responsible gambling habits ensure it stays that way.
So things like setting strict budgets,
Absolutely. Only gamble with money you can afford to lose.
using those casino deposit limits we mentioned,
Great tool for control.
taking regular breaks, not playing when stressed or upset.
All key. And knowing when to stop. The guide also mentions resources like GamCare, which is vital. If you ever feel your gambling is becoming a problem, reach out for help immediately.
Absolutely crucial. Responsible play is what allows for long-term enjoyment, right?
Couldn't agree more. Now, for players who've mastered the basics, the guide does touch on some more advanced strategies. These seem aimed at more seasoned players.
Yeah, what are these?
These are tactics that often require a bit more effort, observation, or specific game knowledge. They go beyond the fundamentals.
Like keeping an eye on daily promotions, reload bonuses, slot tournaments. The guide mentions a $1 tourney entry potentially winning $500. That sounds appealing.
It is. Smart players actively look for these value-added opportunities. Reload bonuses give you extra cash on deposits. Tournaments offer big prize pools for a relatively small buy-in sometimes. It's about maximizing return on your play by leveraging casino offers.
Okay. Then there's this idea of watching slots for hot streaks after maybe 50 spins, starting with small bets. Is there actually anything to hot or cold machines? I thought it was all random.
Well, officially, every spin is random and independent, thanks to the random number generator, RNG. However, some experienced players feel they can get a sense of a game's short-term payout cycle by observing it for a bit. Starting with small bets is key here. You're testing the waters without much risk. But yeah, scientifically, it's debatable. It's more player psychology and observation than proven fact.
Interesting. The guide also mentions watching dealers in live games, like blackjack or baccarat for patterns. That sounds really difficult.
It is extremely difficult and requires immense concentration and experience. The idea is looking for tiny, unintentional tells or patterns in how a specific dealer shuffles or deals. It's very advanced, often called dealer tracking or shuffle tracking, and its real-world effectiveness is, well, often disputed. Not something for beginners.
Definitely not. And finally, tracking progressive jackpots like Mega Moolah on sites like slotstracker.com to try and time your play. This goes back to that is it due idea.
Exactly. Sites like that aggregate data on progressive jackpot sizes and payout histories. Players use this info to see if a jackpot is getting unusually large compared to its average payout level, suggesting it might be more likely to hit soon.
Again, suggestive, not guaranteed.
Precisely. It's another layer of information some players use to inform when they might choose to play a specific progressive, looking for those potential tiny statistical edges.
So these advanced tactics are really about deep observation, data analysis, trying to find those marginal gains.
It
Fascinating.
really shows there's always more depth, more layers to explore if you're really serious about optimizing your play.
Well, this has been a really thorough deep dive, thanks largely to that excellent Casino Rank Elite ABC guide. I think the main takeaway for me is clear. Luck plays a part, sure, but strategy, it matters, probably more than most people think.
Absolutely. Making informed choices where you play, understanding the games, the bonus terms, managing your money smartly, and always playing responsibly, these things genuinely can improve your overall experience and potentially your results.
So, for everyone listening, maybe think about this. These ideas we've discussed, understanding probability, managing risk, making data driven decisions in the face of uncertainty, how might those same principles apply elsewhere in your life? Something to chew on. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.